like having real world experience before going into college would have made college so much better. And I know,
Oh
like,
man.
half the people think like, oh, well, you go to college right after, or as soon as you turn 18 or whatever, right after high school, you get to party and have fun. But man, like,
That's all
I
you
feel
do is
like
party
if
and
I
have
would have
fun at
just
that age.
started 4 or 5 years deep, like
It's like
had a
so
had a
much more
real job
fun.
or something 4 or 5 years, and then go to college. Oh my gosh! Or even started a business first. Like, man, like I would have got so much more out of it. So,
Yeah. I
um,
was that generation
those
that
that
we
don't
grew
go to
up
college
in.
at 18 don't feel bad because
Yeah, no, don't. And don't let people make you feel bad about not going to college right out of high school. That was that's one of
mm-hmm.
my biggest regrets, to be honest. I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature enough to handle college. I was young. I was a young kid anyways for my grade. I didn't turn 18 until like my second day of being in college. So I was a young kid for my class. All those kids are about a year older than me anyways. But
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to go to school right off the bat, and it was because I wanted to rodeo. But that still would have been a much better option, I think, for me because I would have figured out very quickly that's not a viable option right now when you're 17 years old. You're not gonna be able to rodeo full time for a living,
Mm-hmm.
and B, I would have had to get some real life experience, and then C, would have appreciated the hell out of not having to do that real life shit while you're in school and actually taking advantage of that. I wasted a lot of time and money doing that for sure. So any young guys listening, we're not saying don't go to college. College it's great. Yeah, you're much better off going to college than not.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you're just graduating high school and you want to take a year or two, I think that's a great thing. But go get that real life
Yeah, I would
experience.
I would almost recommend it. Like,
Yeah.
mhm. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I changed my major like
No.
4 times. I declared exercise science when I first went in because I thought that was what I wanted to do, which ultimately ended up being what I wanted to do. But like I changed my mind like 3 times. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I'll get an ag degree, maybe I'll get a business degree, and it's
I did
like,
the same thing.
there's so many like external pressures too that it's like you don't you don't know yourself really at that point. It's a great place to learn yourself, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, it's a really expensive and costly place to learn yourself. I feel like,
Yeah.
had I waited, can you hear all the thunder in the background right now? It
Is
is
it going
thundering
off?
its butt off outside. And it
Uh-uh.
feels so loud in my headphones.
No, I can't
Hopefully
hear it
that
at all.
it's not disrupting y'all, but good because it is shaking the house. But yeah, I mean, like, there's I would have, hindsight 2020, like I would have much rather gone and tried to, at least learn how to, make money first before signing myself into $40,000 in debt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which was another thing that I did not understand when I signed on that dotted line. So
No
now
clue,
I'm
man. I
paying
think
for
they take
that.
advantage of that too.
Yeah.
You know, they
I
definitely take
guarantee it.
advantage of
Yeah.
that
It, yeah,
because
guarantee it. But
we didn't know shit then. It's like, dude, we're going to school to learn all this. How are we supposed to know about interest rates and all these compounding effects of money? I have no idea. And then all of a
mm-hmm.
sudden you get done. You're like, sure glad I have that
Yep.
degree. Like, damn, sure glad I am about 100 grand in debt. This is not good. Hell of a way to start it. So
Yeah.
I think getting that real life experience, understanding everything is a really good starting place for a 19-year-old, 20-year-old person. Girls might be a little different. They mature a little quicker than guys. But I was talking to a client the other day and he's 22 and he's like, figured I'd just have it all kind of figured out a little better by now. I'm like, man, I thought that same
Yeah.
thing. And I said, you're going to say that again at 23. You're going to say that again at 25. You're probably going to say it again about 27, 28. And then about 30, you're going to start figuring shit out. And that's just
Yeah.
how life goes. And no one really tells you
Yeah.
that you're not going to have it all figured out. You don't have to know everything by a certain age. So learn as you go, kind of pick up, dust yourself off when you fail and go succeed after that. And, man, what a just misguided, what's the word I'm looking for? Like miscomment, like a terrible belief that was given to society and bred into
Mm-hmm.
us that we have to know all these things and be in this certain place by a certain time. And the world's changed so much since
Yeah.
I was in high school. And that was, I don't even want to say it. 10, dude, coming up on 15 years, 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Explains all these gray hairs, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, my grades are coming in now too. I'm gonna match you here in a couple of years. But
You're on that fast
speaking of
track
going
with
to
3
school,
kids, bub.
dude, for sure. Like Heather's like, you have a gray hair, and then she's like, you have a lot of gray
You have
hairs. I was
many.
like, what? Like, are you kidding me? I'm not even like I don't even turn 30 for 2 more months, so
That's
or
hilarious.
three more months, and I was like, dang man, I'm gonna be just like Doug, but that's all
You
right.
know, it's like when you start looking
Gray
like the
hair's a
people you
crown of
hang
wisdom.
around the most. You ever heard of that? Like people start
Yeah, no
looking like,
kidding.
yeah, like we don't really hang out in person, but we
Well,
see a lot
shoot,
of each
yeah,
other on
like we
FaceTime.
already have like all the same. Yeah, we have all the same clothes and stuff. Every time I'm like putting a video or a reel together, like with that you're in it, my kids are like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "No, that's Doug." We just have the same hats and shirts and sunglasses and
Yeah.
everything,
I
pants,
literally was
everything.
wearing
Ugh,
that hat and that
we're
t-shirt in my last video I posted.
yeah, yeah.
That's funny.
Ugh, but such is life. But no, speaking of going to school, I was reading a paper this morning about creatine for brain gains. And
Really?
I wanted to bring this up because I was
Yeah.
also scrolling through Facebook, and a former client had asked the Facebook world about a question about supplements, and a caution to anybody listening: don't ever do that.
Yeah. That's
Like when you reach out on Facebook, or like not reach out to somebody like an individual on Facebook, but when
the
you broadcast like a Facebook
to
post saying like,
Facebook.
"Oh, what supplement should I take?"
Yeah.
Dude, you're gonna get the wildest answers from people that just really probably don't know what they're talking about. And so like his question
99.9%.
was like, "What is the?" Yeah, his question was like, "Oh, what kind of creatine or what creatine should I be taking?" And so there was already some people that were chiming in, and somebody had said, creatine monohydrate, every brand makes one. I was like, yes, like what I'd commented on there, what she said, like that's it's creatine monohydrate. That's all you need. Don't go for
Mhm.
all the other stuff. There's every brand makes one. It's really cheap. Just get one that the only ingredient is creatine, and you'll be fine. And then like, now I'm getting notifications for this because I commented on there. So like I'm
Mhm.
seeing all these other comments, and people are there's just so many misconceptions around creatine and stuff. And so it was ironic that I was also reading a paper about creatine and its positive effects on the brain. And so I just wanted to bring that up real quick because like we've historically thought of creatine like strictly for muscle growth, which we now kind of know that like maybe it's not as big of a deal for hypertrophy as we once thought, but it's good for overall health, which then in turn would, translate to hypertrophy if you're training and
Mhm.
eating that way. But like so this paper was, it wasn't like super conclusive that like there's a whole like it basically kind of summed up like we need a little more research, but there were some really strong things um, pointing towards helping recovering from brain injuries,
Hmm.
cognitive function, which we kind of already knew about, um, being somewhat helping somewhat, I think, with Alzheimer's, but like not so much other neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's. Like they really couldn't find a correlation there. But like mood disorders, it kind of had some what of an effect, a positive effect on. So like basically it said, we need to study this more, but there was some really strong things pointing towards like, creatine is really, really good for the brain, or has the potential to be, in pretty much all facets of, how your cognitive function, um, mood, your recovering from traumatic brain injuries, which is super common in rodeo events, especially the rough
Mhm.
stock events. So I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Like, unless you have a very specific reason that you don't need to supplement with creatine, which I think would be hard to find, um, probably should be taking some creatine.
Yeah. Or you have to eat like 5 pounds of red meat or something like
Yeah,
that to
a
get that,
ton.
right?
Yeah,
Which is
it's like
that's
between
not feasible.
3.5 or 5 pounds. Yeah,
Yeah.
not in this economy.
No, no way, dude. No way. I can go broke trying to do that for sure.
No
For
kidding.
sure. Let's get into some strength training stuff. Talking about
Mm-hmm.
just strength training in general. I've had a lot of people asking me, what's a good starting place? Should I go to the gym? I've never lifted weights before. Can I just run? Like, what's the best way for me to improve my overall fitness and health. And we've said it a million times, resistance training is our number one go-to when it comes to improving your overall physique, your health, and sports performance. So let's just get into it. The basics of strength
Yeah.
training, what it is, I guess what makes that up. And what I mean by that is strength, hypertrophy, power, strength endurance, muscle endurance.
Hmm.
What does that all mean? So go ahead, break down strength training for us, bro. Just like really simply. I mean, I'm sure all of our listeners know what strength training is, but
Yeah, kind of just to throw an umbrella over it, and I hate making all these blanket statements, especially in one episode. But like I said with creatine, like kind of regardless of your goals, there's a benefit for you. With strength training, it's the same way. Regardless of your goals, you don't have to want to be a bodybuilder to benefit from strength training. Just like with supplementing with creatine, you don't have to only want to grow muscle to maybe start using it as a supplement in your daily regimen. Like strength training can help, like you said, with strength, endurance, power. There's basically three goals, and I bring this up on client calls all the time. There's three different goals we can achieve with strength training. We can achieve peak performance, we can achieve peak aesthetics, and that would be more like in the bodybuilding thing, or we can achieve peak longevity, or we can, if you think of it as a spectrum, we can kind of fall in the middle of two of those goals. So like if you want to live longer, feel better, perform better, or look better, which I would venture to say almost everybody's going to fall into one of those, you can
mm-hmm.
benefit from strength training. And so the difference between like strength training and like cardio or stretching or yoga, like there's all these different facets of fitness, but strength training is the one that is pretty much unanimous as far as there are positive effects found in among all populations.
Mm-hmm.
Cardio is great for your health. Yoga is probably great for your health. Doing any type of flexibility or mobility training is probably great for your health. But strength training kind of falls as an umbrella over all populations. Like everybody could benefit. And like I said earlier, regardless of your goals, there's something for you. And it doesn't have to look the same for you, for everybody.
No, absolutely, man. That's the coolest thing about working out and fitness and strength training is it is all individualized, and it doesn't have to be the same for everyone. It can look different for everyone and be successful for them. Something you were just talking about there. Damn, I had it. I keep blanking out. Maybe I have.
Maybe you need some creatine.
Yeah, I need some more. I just had some too right after I got done working out. But talking about strength training, like pieces of the puzzle, I would even venture to say
Mm-hmm.
that mobility, yoga, any of those things would fall in that strength training category still, because without mobility, without strength, we don't have a really good resistance or strength
Sure.
training program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think those all go into the same thing, and being able to be versatile and diverse in what you're doing is really, really important as well. Let's talk about power, strength, endurance, what that means. Maybe I'll line that out a little bit on how that looks for athletes as well, and in season, off season, etc. So, if you're just starting working out, we want to improve that neural to muscular function as much as possible. And that's what we're trying to get done. So we try and start you out with, I would say you're more in the hypertrophy phase of things. We're trying to get a lot of reps,
Mm-hmm.
not a ton of weight, but really trying to just increase that, that demand for your brain, connecting those muscles and the movement patterns, getting you to move better. Hypertrophy is anywhere from 6 to 12 reps. I usually start out, if I'm just starting somebody out, or say I'm just never worked out before, somewhere about 10 reps, 3 sets, 10 reps. And the first month, I'm just trying to add 2.5, 5 pounds a week to each of those movements. Not per set, just per week, right? So a little bit of progressive
Mm-hmm.
overload there. And then from there, once we have a good baseline for some hypertrophy, we start moving into strength. I like to get a really, really good foundation for strength. I usually have athletes, if we have time, working on this for at least 8 weeks. And our numbers are going to be anything under 6 reps there. And the percentages are going to be much higher if you are testing 1 rep maxes. So I think it's anywhere about 85% and up is going to be advantages there. 6 is 85%. Yeah. So anywhere in there and
Mm-hmm.
up. And then as we work on that, we can start to work on power. And this is again, 1 to 2 reps for single efforts, 3 to 4 reps for multiple efforts. And we're going to keep the percentages about 70 to 80, 80 to 90, depending on which efforts we're trying to increase there. And then we will move on to that endurance phase.
And it's much quicker contractions, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like explosive. You're not
explosive.
Whereas this strength training can kind of be slower.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you can still build strength at a longer repetition, but with power, you're really trying to be as fast as possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Be as powerful as possible. Absolutely. And you have to have that foundation to reach all those levels to get the most out of that kind of training
in
right?
that order. Yeah. Like you can't try to train for power without the foundation of having the hypertrophy, strength, what we called, but that's also like, building the foundation with your central nervous system. So like you start there, you build a little bit of muscle. Mostly you're getting central nervous system adaptations, then you get stronger, then you get faster.
Yep. Has to be in that order. And if you skip steps, you'll be missing pieces in your performance that they'll be visible for sure to you and to your coaches, I'm sure. Let's talk about the physical benefits of resistance training, strength training. Besides the aesthetics, we've talked a lot about the metabolic effect that lifting weights has. And this is something that we think, and I know is overlooked a ton when it comes to resistance training, because most people who say, I want to lose weight, I'm going to go run, I'm going to go get on the bike, I'm going to go row. That is not bad. But if you add strength training and resistance training to that, we are increasing the effect of that exercise, and you're going to continue to burn longer. Your body is going to burn longer. It's going to, you'll notice things like being hungrier much earlier in the day, constantly throughout the day, especially if you're someone that doesn't eat a lot. You start doing some strength training, you'll be consistently hungry and wanting to eat. That's your metabolism waking up and wanting to build muscle, but if you don't have enough, it's just burning it. So it's going to burn that muscle and burn that fat. What else you got for the physical side?
I find so many people get scared of the word like muscle growth, and because like we talk about all the time, like not everybody wants to be a bodybuilder. Obviously, some people want muscle growth. Other people kind of get like turned off by that. But like you just said, like there's when we develop more muscle. So like I have written in my notes here muscle development, and I think that's I didn't really think about it, but I think that's a better word than muscle growth, just because it makes it maybe changes the perspective a little bit. When we develop more muscle, that higher metabolism is in place. Everybody wants a better metabolism so they can enjoy the foods that they want to eat and not have to worry about, packing on a bunch of extra weight. You're going to be able to digest food easier. The energy is going to be used up throughout the day, and you're not really going to have to put in, much more effort than your than the workout and your resistance training. The other thing is protection. Like muscle provides protection for our body. So using gravity or weights basically, or not weights, even body weight, using gravity against our bones is going to improve their density in the same in a similar way as muscle growth happens. There's kind of like there's the resistance, there's the breakdown in muscles, and then there's the repair. And so similarly, when you put pressure or bones under pressure, they're going to repair, like, have these micro repairs and make themselves stronger. So you're going to improve bone density, and that's going to reduce your risk of like, age-related diseases like osteoporosis. Could it make your bones a little bit more resistant to being broken? Even in young people, probably. And just having a little bit of more muscle is going to protect the ligaments that are surrounding joints. It adds a little
really
bit of a cushion.
Things.
Yeah, like very important things.
Spine, organs, like all of these things that are essential for life, your muscle can protect and is designed to protect. And I'll just take it back to Greeley. There was a bronc rider there that had a horse post him, but flipped back with him while he did it and broke his back in his upper back. I think it was C2, which is scary. And the doctor flat out told him, if you didn't have this muscle around your spine, you would not be here today. That was, that's it, So as a rodeo athlete, it's a no-brainer to me to want to add as much protection as you can and provide yourself with as much strength. That's going to be, again, adding fat-free mass, right? Increasing that lean muscle mass. And same thing with ladies. Like you guys, girls want this physique. You see it all on Instagram, whatever, TV, magazines, and you think that they're just not eating and running a lot. And what they're actually doing is deadlifts, squats, presses, eating a lot, but correctly in the right portions. And boom, that's what you get. It's just hard for people to believe that because we've just, again, had it banged into our heads so much that you lift weights, you get huge, you turn into the Hulk. And
then on the opposite end of the spectrum, the fad diet culture too.
Yes.
Like, so you,
well, the
you
quick
basically
fix,
have these
right?
two forces.
Easy,
yeah,
quick fix.
exactly. Like, oh, do this diet and you'll look the way you want to. And it's like, probably not, you know? And at the same time, they're saying like, stay away from weight training because that'll just make you big. And again, probably not. Like, I think we did an episode on that not too long ago. Like, you're not going to get big just because you lift weights. That's not how it works. But and one of the other benefits of strength training that is probably one of my favorites is like the mental aspect.
Absolutely, hands down.
There's a few different ways to look at it, and one is like, you know, immediately it's going to release endorphins and I'm going to feel better afterwards. Like, so it just makes my whole day better because I'm in a better mood. And on the longer term, I would say that stress reduction also probably falls into that short term window. You know, it's a good stress reliever, but like both of those benefits are going to compound over time. Like you're not like it'll make you feel better immediately. It's going to make you feel better long term too, the more consistent you are with it. And there's lots of studies that show a correlation between these longer term effects being like mental clarity, focus, cognitive function. Like, again, who wouldn't want that? And so like I said earlier, regardless of your goals, like the things that we're talking about are achievable for you if you incorporate a good strength training program. The last thing, and this is another one that I really enjoy, and I love it when we break down the wall with clients that maybe were a little resistant to wanting to pick up weights or do anything like that, is the confidence aspect of it. And, you know, generally when we get a new client and, you know, they're like, well, I'm just having a hard time mentally. I feel like I need to do something to improve my mental state. And I'm like, oh, well, do we have the thing for you? When you start moving more weight week to week or doing more reps, like one more rep than last week or 5 more pounds than last week, what that does for your confidence, I can't really put it into words. I hit 2 PRs in my Olympic lifts last Friday, and I was buzzing the rest of the afternoon. Like, I mean, just like on top of the world, because it had been, I think, since May, so like 3 or 4 months since I had gone up in weight in those Olympic lifts, and it was like, man, like I can't, I'm 10 foot tall and bulletproof, you know, like I feel great. And again, I feel like that not only is an acute effect, but it's going to compound with time. You're going to hit more PRs. You're going to feel more capable throughout the day. Another one that I love, another feedback I get from clients that it just lights me up is when they do have kids and they're like, man, I was chasing the kids around the yard and like I didn't get tired. I lost track of time, or I picked them up off the ground and my back didn't hurt, or like there's little carryover throughout the day that are like little tiny confidence boosts too, that don't just happen within the workout. They're going to happen in other areas of your life.
Absolutely, man. That was nailed it. The kids thing, man, is so important to me. I don't even have kids, but I just know how important it is to set up those routines and let kids see their parents being healthy and taking care of themselves. And then, you know, I think that just leads us right into this, the long-term health benefits of resistance training. You don't have to be a rodeo athlete or professional athlete. All you need to be is a mom and a dad that wants to be around and be better for their family and their kids. And you can see how strength training is going to be helpful for that. You know, just talk about the things that are rampant in today's society. We've got obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular issues, hypertension, tons of stress. What's one thing that combats all of that? Strength training, hands down. So, like depression, we're in probably one of the most depressed times of the country. You know, there are so many people out there that have anxiety and depression, and there are so many people out there that are not moving and not exercising. But we're prescribing tons of pharmaceutical pills and all these things to try and combat it, and it's still not getting better because we're not doing the one thing that we should be doing that nature intended us to do, which is move our bodies and be outside, right? So I
Man,
think
I was
that.
having a thought the other day, like kind of
Go
going
ahead.
down this rabbit hole of like exercise today is a privilege. And so many times we think of it as like something that we have to do, but really like it's a privilege to go get to work out for 45 minutes or an hour and a
Yeah.
half or whatever it is. Like that, like we are privileged to do that. Whereas, you know, probably as early as a couple hundred years ago, like everyday life was strength training. Like there was no easy way. Like there was no
Exactly.
desk jobs. There was no diet culture. Famine was a thing. Like, you know, we don't really have that in America today. Like we don't have famines with commercial farming and everything. Like we have more food than we probably even need. And like just not that long ago in like an evolutionary perspective, like we had to be strong. We had to be tough. We had to be resilient, or else you didn't survive. And like today, like it's basically it's a privilege to get to do those things. Like we don't. There's nobody like, you know, holding a gun to your head telling you that you have to work out, or, you know, a lion chasing you down telling you that you should have worked out. You know, we don't have those pressures, but we get to, and we get to continue on with the man, I don't know, just the whole rabbit hole thing, but like kind of philosophical look of like the human existence is only going to continue if we continue to strength train.
Absolutely. And kind of brings me to one of my really, really good buddies told me one time that pressure is a privilege. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you want to live an easy life and, um, you know, not accomplish things you want or don't really care, then by all means, go do the minimum. You know, it's what you put out is what you get from it, right? If you are someone that has a lot that you want to achieve, you're going to feel a lot of pressure during those times, and it's not going to be easy. And I don't think anything that is easy is necessarily worth doing. So realizing that it is a privilege to feel that pressure, whatever it is, whether it's work, whether it's fitness, you know, rodeo, like you can just go flip burgers and sit on the couch all day too, if that's what you want, you know, embrace that pressure. Like know that when you feel that pressure, that's the time to go do that thing again, you know, go work out again. Like I don't go work out every day, or I get that feeling a lot of days where I don't want to go work out, but that's what makes me go, is because it's like, nope, I'm going to go there because this is my brain trying to stop me. And just to the right, I know what's going to make it feel better, even though it doesn't want to do it right this instant. That pressure, yeah, I have an option to not do it, but I know to push against that pressure and I'm going to get the benefits on the other side. So just really encourage our listeners today, push against the pressure, guys. Do the things that are tough. And doing tough things does not mean going and running a fucking marathon every day. Doing tough things means being consistent in the shit that you're doing every single day and doing it when you don't want to. Mike Tyson said something about discipline. He's like, it's doing the stuff. Yeah, it's doing the stuff that you have to when you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's it. That's a bottom line. And that is a fleeting thing in today's world. We talked about earlier about, you know, fad diets, that quick gratification. It's fucked. It's brainwashing literally the entire country, and no one wants to work for anything these days. So put in the work. And again, putting in the work can be 20 minutes, you know, 4 days a week, dude. That's putting in work. You're doing way more than 90% of the people out there, I promise you. And that's just going to bleed over into the rest of your life and want to do a little bit more for everything else. And you just seeing the wins pile up for you, your family, your career. It's all connected, you guys. We got to thank our sponsors real quick. Beastmaster Rodeo, been with us since day one, the best rodeo gear out there. You can use our discount code Champion Living, all one word, uppercase, going to save you 10% on all their products. No matter if you're an elite of the elite, just getting started in rodeo, timed event, roughy, stock contractor, they have everything, and they are working on new designs, new products, trying to better our industry. So check them out, beastmasterrodeo.com. And we got to thank Hui Brands. Always rocking Hui. We were just talking about same hats, same shirts all the time. Yeah, me and Paul do not call each other when we dress up every morning, just as most people may think that is true. It is not. We just have badass shit from Hui. Check it out, guys. Use our discount code Champion Living, all one word. Going to save you 10% on all Hui Brands gear. Until next time, catch you later.